Hi, and welcome to the Service Industry Gateway Workbook. My name is Mel, and I work for the International Travel College of New Zealand. We're an institute that trains students in tertiary, and we train people in aviation, travel, and tourism. So, what we've done is we've put together a workbook to help support you in your work placement and also gain credits towards NCEA Level 3. This is just a quick video of an induction, so an introduction into what you're going to complete and some helpful hints along the way. Your Gateway Workbook is your property, so you must take care of it, please. That needs to be intact, and please make sure that you keep it clean as well. When you're completing this workbook, do ensure that you use only blue or black pen, and also please ensure that you follow the instructions that we've outlined on page 3 for the student, page 2 for the Gateway Coordinator. So just to give you an understanding of the book, there's different units and different credits available for each unit within this book. The first unit is Unit 11097. That's all about recording about a conversation you've had and received and the information you got from that conversation. The next unit is Unit 2925, and that's all about the company you're working for, doing a bit of research, learning about them, and also their competitors or the other people that provide the same service as they do. And in the service industry, there are many providers that do the same service and have to really do what they can to make theirs better than the rest. The other unit standard within this workbook is Unit 23755. That is all about a job role and learning the skills, knowledge, attributes, and some of the other important requirements in performing that job role successfully. So you have to research what it takes to get into the job that you want to get into. Then we have the last unit standard on this actual workbook. That unit standard is 23758, and it's all to do with communicating and also customer service. Very important skills and requirements of you and working in the service industry. So the first thing I'll start with is the actual checklist for the student. Page 3. This is what it looks like here. It's really important that you read those instructions before handing your workbook to your Gateway Coordinator. This will save you time and them time, as well as us as well. So the instructions that you really need to keep an eye on is 1, putting your name on your workbook is a good start. Making sure you keep it safe. Of course, using blue or black pen only during the workbook, because those are the instructions for the assessments. Also, if you do require extra additional paper, you can attach that with it, but we do recommend you attach it. The first thing you'll have to check is that you've had all pages signed by your supervisor. Those page numbers are outlined for you and they're highlighted in yellow. Your supervisor can be anyone who's looking after you, and that's during your placement. So please don't walk away from the placement without your book signed. You can just ask them, please kindly, if they could sign your Gateway workbook. They're well aware that they need to do that. The other thing you need to do as well is make sure you complete every single question within this book, because unfortunately, if you haven't submitted a question, you can't gain the credits for that unit. You do get 3 resets for every single assessment within this book. So that means you do get the option to try again if you don't get an answer correct. So please try your best in your first attempt, and that's all you can do. We do have support recommended for you in this book as well, which is also outlined on page 3. This YouTube tutorial is one of many. This is just an induction tutorial. We actually have tutorials for each unit standard that you're completing in this workbook that explains how to achieve those. The channel web address is in page 3 of this workbook. Also, there's top tips. That's information that will be within your assessments coming up. A recommended time to complete, which is just simply giving you an idea of how long it might take you. Don't worry if you take longer or less time, it's just recommended. Task explanation, and that's to do with explaining the assessment task that's coming up. Please note that this is just like a teacher delivering you an assessment. It's simply an alternative way of discussing what's in the question. There's also information saying that you can do this in the workplace or obviously away from the workplace. My suggestion is to do this workbook as soon as you can, because the information will be fresh in your mind and much easier to deliver into a workbook. The longer you leave it, the harder it will be to remember everything. There's also a gateway coordinator responsibility here as well. So what this means is once the student has completed this workbook, they then hand it to the gateway coordinator. The instructions for your gateway coordinator is on page 2 of the workbook. Simply make sure that the workbook has been completed. So the gateway coordinator needs to just quickly go through and check that everything's been filled in. They do not need to read the answers. There is no marking required for these workbooks. We do the marking ourselves. Once you've checked and made sure all answers are filled in and signatures are completed on the pages required, we do recommend taking a photocopy of this workbook and then couriering it in to the address stated on page 2. We recommend courier because it's the safest form of actually posting these books. Then the book will be received and we will mark the workbook within 2 weeks of receiving it. If there is any reset required, so that means maybe some questions haven't been answered correctly, we will only copy the pages of the reset and supporting information along with some notes and useful tips for the student to complete it. We will then scan and email that to the gateway coordinator, who will then pass it on to the student to submit any resets. They also get given a time in order to do that. No workbooks will be sent back and forth between us and the gateway coordinator, just for safety purposes. Please don't scan and send the whole workbook into us. We need the actual hard copy of the workbook in order to mark this, please. The only instructions to the supervisor or the workplace is that they need to sign the book, but also that at the very back of the book, there's a very useful page that they can actually fill in feedback, and that's based on the student's experience with them. This feedback page looks like this. So this page is really important. It's important for the student to receive feedback, but also because it could be useful for them gaining employment in future. Most importantly, please don't forget the support that we give you. ITC have written this book. I personally will receive any email from you if you require assistance. Any extra assistance that our YouTube or video channels can't provide you, you need to just simply email gateway@itc.co.nz and we'll be more than happy to assist you. The alternative is these YouTube tutorials. There are a number of tutorials for each unit standard that you're completing. Each have their own tutorial explaining how to do the tasks. And lastly, we do have a closed Facebook group page. Those tutorials will be on that group page, but also if you feel necessary able to ask any questions, we'll be happy to help you then. Most importantly, we hope you enjoy your work placement and get the most out of this. What a great opportunity for you, for your future, and all the best with completing your International Travel College Service Industry Gateway Workbook.